you. Go. Go, go, go. All right. Today we are talking about stress. Do you guys see my PowerPoint?
No.
Nope, because I haven't started sharing it yet. Just kidding. And Mr. Okay, I was about to tell you to mute. All right. So today we're talking about stress. What is stress exactly? It's something normal that everybody goes through. And some people can suffer from stress, which is so frequent and so severe that it can seriously impact their quality of life and end up causing a lot of health issues. So stress comes from many range of sources, which we call stressors. It can be relationship issues, work-related issues, steady demands, coping with an illness, life changes such as marriage, retirement, or divorce, maybe not for y'all, but for your parents or whoever you live with, day-to-day activities and tasks, positive events such as organizing holidays or parties. I know it's like, why would that be stressful? That might be fun for some people, but the holidays are very stressful for people because they feel like there's expectations to be met. Juggling many roles or tasks at the same time. So that's kind of what we're all going through right now. You guys have 8 courses that you are trying to juggle and homework for 7 of them, and maybe working a part-time job or full-time job even after school. So we've got a lot going on. I'm also going to talk a little bit about teachers because some of the slides I pulled from PowerPoint for the adults before we started the school year. So it might seem a little like it doesn't relate to y'all, but I included those because I want you to remember that your teachers are under tremendous amount of stress right now as well. And we just need to be mindful of that and maybe think about that when we are going forward and communicating with them and asking them for our extensions and, for our deadlines, and just being able to relate to them and the stress that they might be going through. Okay, so symptoms of stress. So this is all the physiological stuff that's going on inside your body, right? Irritability or moodiness, interrupted sleep, worrying or feeling of anxiety, back and neck pain, frequent headaches, minor to migraines, upset stomach, increased blood pressure, which is like a wooziness feeling, dizziness. You might have elevated blood pressure, like if you get up too quickly and you feel kind of like tunnely. Changes in appetite, rashes or skin breakouts, chest pains, making existing physical problems worse. So if you already had some health issues, those might be magnified. And you're more susceptible to cold and flu and slower recovery to heal from these sicknesses because you are your immune system is weakened. So the symptoms reduce the quality of life, and people suffer from stress may notice that work performance or relationships suffer more because of a result of this. Okay, so this is just a little comic strip figure of a boy taking a test, it looks like, or he's at school, and it's showing some of those physical symptoms as well, like sweaty palms and feet, stiffness in your legs, tummy, nauseous, dry mouth, heart pounding, shortness of breath, cheeks turning red, maybe your eyesight is off a little bit, having echoing sounds, and shakiness. Hey, shh. Okay, so 3 different types of stress are positive stress, tolerable, and toxic stress. So positive stress is normal. It's essential part of healthy development. It's brief, and you can feel some of those symptoms like a fast heart rate or elevation in hormone levels. So some of the symptoms that we talked about, but they're only lasting for a short period of time. So some people get stage fright or, have a fear of public speaking. So maybe before having to perform or give a presentation, you might start feeling some of those things, right? Like your heart starts racing, or your palms get sweaty. Okay. And if you're in any competitive sports, maybe you get that adrenaline and you feel some of that stress hormones rising in your body, but that's good because it's going to make you perform, right? It gives you that boost to get things done. An example I used earlier might be procrastination. So some of y'all have openly admitted that you are horrible procrastinators. And, with procrastination, sometimes it can give you that enough stress to make you get the work done, right? You're not stressed out enough when it's assigned a week before, but as the week goes on, you feel stressed to get it done. Okay. Tolerable stress. So this can be, it's also pretty normal to have tolerable stress for periods of time in your life. And it activates the body's alert system to a little bit greater degree than positive stress. So it could be more severe or longer lasting symptoms like headaches and stomach aches and feeling off maybe for a week or two, not being able to sleep. And this can be because of grief, loss of a loved one, a natural disaster, or a scary injury, being in a car accident. Sometimes it shakes you up and you're not okay for a good week or two. So if the time is limited and protected by relationships with adults who help the child, the brain and other organs recover from what might otherwise be damaging effects. Yeah, you can go put this in the fridge. It'll stick there. Oh, that's a magnet, yeah. That's a magnet? So some things, that last sentence was really for like teachers, because what we want you guys to know is that we are here to help rewire that brain, like those neurons in your brain and how they're firing, right? So consistency and having a schedule and going through the same motions every day actually helps rewire your brain to work through some of that stress. Okay, toxic stress. So this can occur when a child experiences strong, frequent, and long-lasting difficult events. So this is like any kind of abuse as a child, or a mental illness. It can even be something prenatal, like when your mom was pregnant with you. Anything that happened in utero can still have an effect on your life, okay, and on your behavior, on your mental illness, on or mental health, and just any of those kind of things. If your mom was stressed out during pregnancy, you can still be carrying some of that stress. Now, we have a test called the ACEs test, and it's Adverse Childhood Experiences. And hopefully one day we'll show it to you guys. But maybe Mr. Puente will even do it next week or on Thursday. I don't know what he has planned yet, but I'll talk to him about it. So the ACEs is just, it gives you a number to show like how much things that you've kind of been through, and it might be a reason why you handle stress a little differently than people who don't have a high ACE number. Okay, so toxic stress is like the migraines, the prolonged, always on edge, hard time focusing. Okay, that can be from toxic stress. Okay, again, it can be worked through. It can be worked through with therapies and different medications. So that's just something to think about. We can still handle toxic stress. It just is a lot more difficult once it gets to that point. So with this pandemic, everybody's kind of been in stress and handled it their own ways or had different levels of stress. So a lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people are having a hard time keeping food on the table. And, on the next slide, I'll talk about that in a second. So social unrest is adding to what we already had, right? So I've always seen students who have had some stress in their life. And with this pandemic, it's added to that. And it can make life very difficult. Okay. And we're seeing a rise in anxiety, and we're seeing a rise in depression. So teachers, staff, and administration are also facing additional personal and professional stress. So they're having to balance teaching virtually and teaching in person students now. They have the fear of this illness. And maybe they have aging parents that they take care of, or young children that they take care of. And so they're having to juggle all these things. And it's, it's hard. They might seem lost and not know what they're doing at times, and that's okay. There's an increase in anxiety and depression among and secondary trauma. So secondary trauma is like them hearing stories from what their students are going through. Okay. So some of y'all might be having secondary trauma if you have friends or classmates that are talking about really difficult things that they're going through, and they're sharing that with you, and you might be taking on their stress. Okay. I remember it was said, anybody within 6 feet of you, isn't that funny? Because like 6 feet is the social distance number, but anybody within 6 feet of you can pick up on your vibes, I guess, your your stress levels. So if you have a teacher or a parent that is stressed out and you're around them, you're going to be picking up some of that stress, whether you want it or not. So you can just be that little airy light of wonderfulness to help de-stress them, maybe. Okay. And then there's a lot of people losing control. Okay. Spiraling out and not knowing what to do. So with the school closures, this is what I was getting at. There's a lot of kids that don't know where they're getting their next meal. They are not going to the doctor and getting their medications filled. So there's lots of mental health stuff going on. And then with social isolation and, the rise in depression and anxiety, not getting your meds is not good. Several months out of school, a lot of your skills have been lost. I think they call the summer slope. So in the summer months, normally you guys lose some of those skills, like especially in math, that you had gained throughout the school year. So with months of not doing any work, it's hard. I mean, we're basically trying to relearn things that we did last year, and your teachers are having to reteach that. Okay, so routines are so important. It's helping rewire that brain. Every time that you have consistency in your life, it is helping make that pathway. So social distancing measures can result in social isolation, and in an abusive home, that's not good. The abuse can become greater and more frequent. Okay, so some stress management tips. Okay, I need to stretch, take a breath. Okay. So identifying your stressors. So what is it that's causing you this stress in the first place? Is it academics? Is it family? Is it siblings? Is it having to care for them? Whatever it might be that's stressing you out, once you figure out what it is, then we can see if it's something that you can change or control. Okay. If it's not something you can control, then you're not going to worry about it. We're not going to stress about stuff that we have no control over. Okay. We have no control over people. So if people are stressing you out, you need to learn a way to control how you respond to those people, because I've never ever met somebody in my life that was able to control another human being. And if you allow people to control you, then let me meet that person, because they've got a lot of control. All right. So build regular exercise into your life. This is easier said than done, but it's super important that you guys are getting at least an hour of physical activity, getting up, even if it's just walking, if it's, something other than sitting on the couch and playing video games. It can be yoga, it can be soccer, basketball, shooting some hoops, jump roping, lifting weights, whatever it is, just try to schedule that into your life, into your day, 60 minutes. Even if you only have 10 minutes here and then 10 minutes in between, like each of your classes. I think somebody had mentioned that they we're gonna, try to stop being so lazy in between and sleeping, and maybe be a little more active. So lifting weights, that's a great idea. Just do a 10-minute set of upper body. Then after the next class, do a 10-minute set of lower body, like whatever you want to do. Exercise is so important. Which leads us to eating and sleeping well. Okay. Well, you guys are horrible at sleeping. Teenagers are awful because you guys stay up super late and then you have to wake up early in the morning. And a lot of people have a hard time falling asleep. And so that's why they blame it on, like, oh, I just can't sleep at night. That's because you've built in these horrible sleeping habits of maybe being on electronics or having your phone in the same room as you. I mean, like, that shouldn't be on your nightstand. It should be across the room. So when your alarm goes off in the morning, you have to get up and go get it. Um, Not doing anything else in your bed other than sleeping. So you shouldn't be doing schoolwork in your bed, right? And some of y'all probably are in your beds right now, but that's telling your body that it's time for bed, right? If you're only sleeping in your bed, then that alerts your body that it's time to go to sleep. Okay. So these can all be corrected eventually, but right now your goal is 8 hours of sleep. If you only get 6 hours of sleep, take it. But ideally 9 or 10 is really good for a growing body or teenagers. So take time out for families, friends, and recreational activities. So you guys know how important this is, but have a hobby, right? Don't have and I'm not talking about something that stresses you out. Maybe dancing was fun when you were a little girl, but now it's like Dance Moms and it's just the most stressful thing ever. That's not going to help you, okay? So going on a picnic, going for a bike ride with your family, knitting, adult coloring books, even vegging out and watching a series, Grey's Anatomy or whatever. But you guys need to have a hobby or something just for yourself. So problem solving techniques can be a useful way of clarifying the problems and the stressors. So brainstorming those solutions. Like I said, you can only control what's important to you and what you're able to manage, right? So I have students, I'll have them draw, like, on a piece of paper, a square, and then within the square I'll list, like, on the top, things that are important, right? So the 2 quadrants up top are things that are important. The 2 quadrants that are on the bottom are not important. Okay. There could be things that are stressing us out that are not important. And then having things that you can control on the left side quadrants, and then things that you can't control on the right side quadrant. Okay. So then at the end of making your list and categorizing where they go and what quadrant, you're left with your top left quadrant, which is things that you can control and things that are important to you. Okay. And then you take that list and you start, how do I manage this? Right. Also, you can do pros and cons. That's a great way to look and clarify your situation. So learning calming techniques such as controlled breathing and progressive muscle relaxation, these train your body to become more relaxed. These are great things to do in the evening time when you're trying to sleep train and relearn how to get a good night's rest. They take practice, but they can become very beneficial if you do it over and over and over again. Okay. And so in this class, we're going to cover a lot of different calming techniques, but the trick of it is you can't just do it once. You've got to try it out a few times. So if I teach you guys yoga one day, I want to challenge you to, like, practice it for a whole week every day and see how it's helped. And then after that week, if you didn't like it, if it didn't work out, never have to do it again. But my goal is to help you guys find something for yourself that you can take to college with you and into the future going forward that helps you just kind of find your zen, right? So if it is dealing with a person that is stressing you out, you can go to a professional that teaches assertive training and communication skills. They can help you deal with these challenging situations more effectively, which will help reduce your stress. So once you learn how to communicate properly with adults, with managers, with teachers, it takes a load of stress off. Okay. I'm not a professional in this. I'm not great at communication skills either. I'm still learning. So I might not be the best person to talk to as far as that goes. But if that's something that you want, we can try to find somebody that can help you. And then last but not least, consider whether there's negative thinking which is contributing to your stress. So we talked about this last week when I said to choose joy. So we need to remember to have positive viewpoints and think positively. There is a process called dot stop or stop thinking and something stop. I'll have to look into it. But the short version of it is wear a rubber band around your wrist. And every time you have that negative thought, you pop it. And this helps you become aware of how often you are having those negative thoughts. So these are my final thoughts. Stress is normal. It's important that we get a hold of it before it becomes problematic and harmful. So know what your stressors are and what symptoms your body exhibits when you are stressed. Learn healthy ways to manage your stress. And if you can't get a handle on your stress, you need to talk to a professional or get help from a teacher, adult. Stop that, Joe. So also remember there's the National Suicide Hotline, 1-800-273-TALK. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording and then we will finish up with some final thoughts.